Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Medisodes. In this week's episode, we're going to be looking at a pharmaceutical drug that, while you may not know all about, you've probably had before. It's a well known painkiller, and we are talking about today paracetamol. Also known as acetaminophen in the US, it's a medication used to treat fever and mild to moderate pain. It's available combined with other painkillers and anti-sickness medicines over the counter, making it one of the most commonly used medicines. And in the United States and Europe, it is the most commonly used medicine for pain and fever. It's also used as an ingredient in a wide range of cold and flu remedies and is often found in the top prescribed medicines around the world. It's also on the WHO's list of essential medicines. But how was paracetamol discovered? Well, the pain-killing properties of paracetamol were discovered by accident when a similar molecule, called acetanilide, was added to a patient's prescription about 100 years ago. Acetanilide was the first aniline derivative found to possess analgesic as well as antipyretic, that's pain-relieving and anti-fever properties, and therefore it was quickly introduced into medical practice back in 1886. However, it had unacceptable toxic side effects, which prompted the search for less toxic aniline derivatives. Chemists modified its structure to try and find a compound that was less harmful but still had the pain relieving properties. One of these compounds being N-acetylparaaminophenol, known as acetaminophen in the US and paracetamol in the UK and much of the rest of the world. It also goes by a lot of brand names, so when it's mixed with codeine, it goes by the trade name Tylenol, and has many others in its pure form, such as Panadol. But to tell you more about how this drug actually works and what its chemical structure is like, on to Adrian.
Paracetamol is a relatively simple molecule with three distinct functional groups: the hydroxyl group, or OH, the amide group, or the CONH, and the benzene ring. It has the molecular formula C8H9NO2, and this relative simplicity is what allows for a moderately simple manufacturing process, as Trey will talk about later on. Despite its use in a clinical setting over a century ago, the exact mechanism of action of paracetamol is yet to be determined, and in the meantime scientists have suggested mechanisms that are yet to be proven, or indeed disproven, with further evidence. Paracetamol has similar analgesic and antipyretic properties to aspirin, though it is neither anti-inflammatory and is not an anticoagulant. This similarity has led to the suggestion that paracetamol works by inhibiting COX pathways, which reduces the production of enzymes that cause the production of other chemicals that in turn cause pain detection and blood clotting. We cannot discuss the further complete mechanism of paracetamol action because there are so many tentative suggestions as to what it could be, and some are more backed up than others, but while we have no conclusive evidence for a said mechanism, we cannot determine how it works for now. As has been discussed, paracetamol is a painkiller that is used to treat aches and pains and to reduce a high temperature. These are symptoms common to several different diseases, and so paracetamol is used extremely commonly. It is an ingredient in a wide range of cold and flu remedies too. Despite paracetamol being very popular and available in almost every supermarket, there have been some questions regarding its safety and efficacy. For many years, paracetamol has been the default medicine for all sorts of acute and chronic pain conditions. Paracetamol is prescribed for lower back pains, for example. However, a Cochrane review found that paracetamol is ineffective in this case, from a trial involving over 1,700 participants, all of whom had acute sudden back pain. At no stage in the 12 weeks of the trial is 4,000 milligrams of paracetamol daily any better than a placebo. The review finds no evidence that paracetamol works for chronic back pain either. Paracetamol is also without effect in cancer pain, and there is a lack of evidence that it can treat chronic neuropathic pain. In these cases, the evidence for paracetamol use is limited, but paracetamol still continues to be used for these purposes. Furthermore, paracetamol only makes symptoms less severe, but has no impact on the underlying causes of the pain. For example, paracetamol is prescribed for arthritis, but it does nothing to tackle the causes of underlying swelling and inflammation of the joint. This means that paracetamol is rarely prescribed on its own, and is taken to provide the patient with some comfort and a better quality of life whilst they take other treatment to help them recover. Or, in many cases, paracetamol makes the time in which the body recovers more durable for the patient. So now I've discussed the mechanism of action, chemical structure, and uses and disadvantages of paracetamol. I'll hand over to Shrey, who will discuss the manufacturing process of this super popular drug.
Paracetamol is a mass-produced drug used by pretty much everybody to relieve pain, and it's estimated in the UK 6,300 tons of paracetamol is produced every year. We start phenol, and phenol, for those that are not familiar with organic chemistry, is a benzene ring with an alcohol group or hydroxyl group attached to it. From there, we nitrate the phenol with nitric acid, and that produces two isomers, ortho and para nitrotoluene. And the ortho and the para refer to the position of the nitrate group on the benzene ring relative to the hydroxyl group. So for the para, that means it's basically opposite the hydroxyl group at what we call position 4, so it'd be 1,4. And for the ortho, it would be 1,2. So if the hydroxyl is at 1, the nitrate is at 2. And the one we want, if you remember from the name, is the para, because it's N-acetyl para-aminophenol. So we have to remove the ortho isomer. We do this by steam distillation. So that leaves us with para-nitrotoluene. And now we have to get the amino part, so it's para-aminophenol. So to do that, we reduce it. Finally, we have to bolt on that first part, acetyl. So we acetylate it. There we have it, N-acetyl para-aminophenol, otherwise known as paracetamol. So paracetamol is mostly found in either tablet or liquid form. For younger children, probably liquid, and then for those that most like older people will take it as a tablet, or you might have it mixed with other cough medicines, as has been mentioned before. So yeah, it's a very versatile drug, and that's how it's made. So now we know how paracetamol is made. Let's look at how it's sold and what it's used for with Shri.
So now let's look at the sales and usage of paracetamol. First, let us start off by looking at the statistics of the sale of paracetamol in the UK. It is estimated that 6,300 tons of paracetamol is sold per year. That's equivalent to 35 tons per million of the population, or 35 grams or 70 paracetamol tablets bought by each person every year. Having a brief view at its usage, paracetamol is a common painkiller used to treat aches and pains. It can also be used to reduce a high temperature, and it's available combined with other painkillers and anti-sickness medicines. It's also an ingredient in a wide range of cold and flu remedies. So hopefully you have gained a good insight into the sales and usage of paracetamol.
Okay, and thank you for watching today's episode. Hopefully today you've learned a lot more about paracetamol, how it works, and why it's so used all over the world. As always, thank you for watching today's episode, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video to all your friends and family. As always, we upload every Friday, so be sure to check out next week's video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.